What's going on, everybody? So, with the recent implementation of FSR 3 and AMD's fluid motion frames on ROG Ally, there's been more FSR 3 implementation to individual games, specifically The Last of Us. With the latest update to The Last of Us, now everybody has the option to turn on FSR 3 Super Resolution as well as frame generation. And that's basically the same feature that is now officially on AMD's Adrenalin software, which you can just enable fluid motion frames anytime you want directly from the app. And I'm sure Asus is going to add an actual shortcut to that feature in Command Center directly to the ROG Ally software. But before that happens, we have certain titles like The Last of Us that have FSR 3 built in. And this is one of the first titles to actually officially have FSR 3. And I gotta say, FSR 3 in The Last of Us is completely different than the fluid motion frames feature that was added to AMD's software. With The Last of Us FSR 3 and frame generation, the upscaling for FSR 3 in this game is barely noticeable. Usually you can see certain types of artifacts or effects that were broken down in order to sharpen the image while also upscaling it. But with FSR 3 directly in The Last of Us, I barely noticed any kind of upscaling whatsoever. In my personal time, I tried to see how the game played without FSR 3 and frame generation, and it is a completely different story. Currently, while playing the game right now, I have the resolution set to 1080p with VSync off and the graphic settings set to mostly high. And I'll tell you this, I really haven't set the graphic settings to high on any device I've played The Last of Us until FSR 3 was added. And with high settings 1080p, the game reaches up to 60 FPS. As you can see, it's mostly hovering around the 50s. And because it's a third-person action game, it's not as noticeable as an FPS. I recently tried Halo Infinite and I actually got motion sick from playing that game with FSR 3 enabled. But that's through the AMD software. I'm sure if FSR 3 was added directly into Halo Infinite, like it was with The Last of Us, then it would play similar to The Last of Us, which is pretty much flawlessly. This game plays how I remember it playing for the PlayStation 4, but it looks 2 times better. And I'll tell you this, if FSR 3 is like this with every game it's implemented into, then this is an absolute game changer. FSR 3 is going to change the way handhelds play games, possibly forever. This software will revolutionize PC games and make an unplayable game like The Last of Us on the Steam Deck actually playable. On the ROG Ally, it was pretty damn playable in 720p, but in 1080p I was having a bit of issues, even with the settings at medium. It would hover around 30 to 40 FPS, but now it's a constant 50 FPS, and that's with most settings set to high. This is absolutely groundbreaking. FSR 3 is AMD's masterpiece. But FSR 3 on the ROG Ally isn't that great. It still has a lot of kinks to work out, and sure, people try to explain exactly how it works and try to explain exactly how to fix it, but if something needs fixing or more attention put into it, then maybe it's not ready for the big leagues just yet. But FSR 3 officially implemented into a game directly absolutely made my jaw drop. The Last of Us with FSR 3 is unbelievable, and I'm never going to play this title without FSR 3 enabled. Of course, along with frame generation. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about FSR 3 and frame generation with The Last of Us. I absolutely love it. I think it's perfect. And thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a good one. Later.